Hi, today we're setting up my April monthly spreads. I'm using some autumn inspired floral PET tapes, some vintage washies, some craft paper and some PET script tape. I'm using Tombow's 942 and N95, my Pigma Microns in various sizes, and my Tombow Fudenosuke. I decided on this cozy vintage fauna theme because it is the start of autumn here in Australia, so I thought this would be a nice one, something a bit different to the more celestial magic things I've been doing of late. So I've just put some craft paper in the centre. I'm just going to do the heading over the top of that, and then that leaves plenty of space around the outside for decorations. As you can see, I decided that lettering wasn't quite thick enough, so I've just gone in with a thicker brush pen over the top. And then we'll just put some of this thick washi. I like to rip the edges of that just to give it a more natural kind of feel. And then we'll round the corners just to integrate it into the book a bit better. I really like using the PET tapes for decoration. They fill a space very quickly. I do wish more of them were kiss cut though. These ones aren't, so I've had to cut out all the individual designs by hand, which took quite a bit of time, and I've chopped that out of the video for you so you don't need to watch me sitting here fiddling with scissors too much. This kind of collagey layout decoration is a bit new to me, but I'm doing my best. I did forget to put this down before I stuck that bit of craft paper though, but we'll just peel it up and pop it back down over the top. I think my biggest issue with this kind of decoration is knowing when to stop. I can tend to go a little bit too far sometimes. How about you? Do you like using PET tape and this style of decoration, or do you prefer stickers or drawing, or perhaps a combination? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear what you guys are up to in your journals too. Just trimming up the edges of these ones just so that they aren't all hanging out all over my notebook and getting destroyed or accidentally peeled when I turn the pages. So I have gone through and pre-planned where my pages are going to go and the functional tasks of them, but I didn't really pre-plan the decoration at all. Perhaps I should have. It probably would have taken me a bit less time to figure it out if I had, but I think it turned out okay. So that's the cover page all done. I'm happy with that, and we're turning over now for our monthly overview. I've decided to go with the calendar spread this month. I started to roll it up with the 942 Tombow, but I decided that was a little bit light. I might keep that one for the second line highlights, and I'm instead using this lighter colour brown, which is just a slightly darker shade. I think will work better for my line work. I'm using a B5 notebook, so it gives me plenty of space for calendar boxes, plenty of room to write in them. So just rolling that up. Now as you can see, I did have a little smudge in the ink at the bottom here. That's because I forgot to turn my ruler over. With the curve, if you use it upside down so that the edges of the ruler are off the page, you won't get that smudging, and I know that, so I don't know why I forgot to do that. So now I'm back to the 942, just highlighting those boxes where the numbers are going to be written. Let's pop all those in. And rubbing out my pencil marks. It's time to add some decoration. So again, I'm starting with that vintage washi as a base. You can see I've just really made sure to press it into that crease where it goes across the join in the page so that the pages will still turn nicely. This top space, I was going to put a heading or something there, but I decided that to balance out the design it really needed the washi up that part as well. Now we'll just add in some more of our PET tapes just to fill in some of those spaces. Bring that fauna across from the cover page just to really tie the theme together. Don't be afraid to cut your designs on the PET and then use those little pieces to fill in gaps in other places or build out your design. You can see I've just done that with that blossom from the right hand corner. I popped it in that blank space down there. And come in with some more of the autumn leaf and pomegranate tape. Again, just playing with little pieces of offcuts that I've had to trim to work out how to build this design and fill it out a little bit more, just to fill up some of that white space. I'm not a fan of white space on my pages. I know some people like to give their stuff lots of room to breathe. I'm definitely more of a maximalist type of bullet journaler. I like it to be full. So I've just decided that I probably need to write the days of the week at the top. I wasn't going to, but I changed my mind. I did that. So we'll just pop those in now before we put the PET up the top. That's another nice thing about the PET. You can put it straight over the top of where you've written, and provided the pattern on that part isn't too full on, you can still see your writing underneath, which is nice. With our edges rounded, that's that page done. Turning over now to do my monthly dashboard and my trackers. So this page on the left will be my dashboard. It's got a section for bills that I need to pay, a nice long to-do list for things that don't necessarily fit into specific weeks but just need to get done sometime during the month, as well as a section for my weekly tasks so I don't have to write them out every week, and a section to keep track of phone calls I need to make during the month. Now this side of the page is my habit trackers and mood trackers. You can see I've just had to flick back a couple of times because this is a new layout I only started last month. And around about there I realised that I should have done half of it in a different colour, but that's okay. The vertical lines are in a different colour and it still has the same effect. I like to use that second line highlight. It fills out the page nicely, especially on a spread like this. It doesn't have a lot of room for decoration. And as you can see, I picked up the wrong brown pen there to extend that line, so I'm just using a little piece of off-cut dot grid paper to stick over the top, and you can't even really tell I made a mistake. Except I made another mistake and apparently couldn't spell moods, so we'll just go over it again with another piece, peel off the first one, put another piece over a bit bigger, and it's like the mistake never happened. Just adding some line work in that darker brown, and some labels just to finish off the functional part of the spread, and then I can add a little bit of decoration to that blank space that I've left at the bottom. Days down one side of this tracker, each day of the month, and then across the top I will mark all the habits I want to track, and as well as the things I track on my mood tracker. which is a bit more than just moods for me. It also includes some symptoms and other bits and pieces that I want to keep track of across the month. Checking back to last month to make sure that I don't miss anything. As I said, this is a new layout I tested out last month because I was short on space and decided that I actually really like it, so I think I'll continue this one throughout my journal and see how we go. Although this is the last spread for this journal, last month for this journal, so I might try a different size next month, I'm not sure. What do you suggest? Stick with B5, maybe try a square. I'm not a fan of A5, but I have done it before, and I guess I can do it again. Let me know what you think I should do in the comments. When I was editing the video, I did notice that I bumped the camera while I was doing this, so I'm sorry it's all on a bit of a strange angle at the moment. I promise you I do fix it later on in the video. That's that page done. So now turning over for my content trackers on this page. This is again a new spread. I'm only trying for the first time in this format this month, but I think it'll be handy for me to keep track of all the content I'm trying to produce and when I want to post it throughout the month. So the top box is going to be for my YouTube content. That's just a bit of a bigger box, just there's a lot more steps involved in doing the videos obviously, so it needs plenty of space for writing that. And then the 4 small boxes are for the 4 weeks of the month and the things I want to post on the various platforms will be listed in there, so I can just mark off when the stages are done and when they're all posted and ready to go. This one on the right hand side is going to be a 1 line a day spread, although when I get to writing the title you'll see that I wrote a line a day because, as we saw on the last page, my brain wasn't really functioning when it came to writing titles this month. Again, just going in with that second line highlight to fill out the page. Just gives you a really quick block of colour. I think it makes the spreads look a little bit more complete, and it's a good payoff for not very much work. Okay, so as I write these headings, I'll just let you know that my camera didn't record the rest of setting up the line a day page. So I just added some decoration and numbered the pages there, and then it was pretty much complete. And then we turn over to create our first weekly spread of the month, and the only one I'll be setting up in this video. So I decided to do the washi on the vertical this time instead of the horizontal. It still ties in with my theme nicely, it just makes it just a little bit different to the pages we've already set up. By using the same basic decorative elements that I've used on all of the pages, it still keeps the theme cohesive, but it means you can change it up a bit. I like to have a different spread each week and just change things up a bit so I don't get bored, but this is a really nice way to keep it still tied together and looking cohesive. So again, with that second line highlight in the 942, just on all the boxes, I like to, if I remember, put the highlight down before I rule my lines, just because I find sometimes the Tombow smudges, particularly some of the black inks from my pens, if I run over the top of them when I'm doing the highlights, so I find this is a nice way to avoid that. So just going in with those PET Flora tapes again, just to add that autumn theme back across. And I don't know what it is about these tapes. Again, I think I got them from Temu, so they are quite cheap ones, but they just do not want to lay down flat. I really struggled getting these to lay down nicely, which isn't something I've had with other PET tapes in the past. And that's the weekly spread pretty much done. Turning over to the very last spread we'll be setting up today, and that's my brain dump page. I tend to call this page daily dumps just because, I don't know, my mind is 12 and I find it funny. A lot of people call it different things, but brain dump or daily dump is what I tend to go with. There's just a space for me just to write down whatever's on my mind that I need to get out of my head during the month. And just put a little bit of decoration on this page just to keep it in with the theme, but I mostly just want to be able to write. Going to put a little bit of decoration up on the top to tie it into that bottom design and trim it up, and then that page is done. I'm not going to put second line highlights just because I do tend to write in fountain pens a lot on this page and they seem to work better without the highlights, and really I'm the only one who sees this page anyway. So that's my April setup. I'll just turn back for a flip through. I'm quite happy with how this turned out, even though I didn't really plan the decorations too well. If you'd like to see more content, you can follow me over on Instagram at beautiful_crafts. Let me know in the comments what you ended up doing for April. See you next time.